Welcome to your 20-minute podcast with David Brower, where we do our best to give you useful information in 20 minutes or less. Now, here's your host, 5-time Voice Arts Awards nominee, David Brower.
Thanks, Alan, and welcome back for part 2 with our interview with Debra Jason. If you go to Debra's website, that's W-R-I-T-E, rightdirection.com, you'll see countless categories from blogging and branding to marketing to QR codes to Twitter to videos to you name it. And all those different hot buttons go, oh, that's what I need. And you just click on it and reach out to Debra and watch the magic work. It's such a gift what you have.
Well, thank you very much. It's been my honor to be able to serve people that way and help them out when they are feeling frustrated because they're like, I just had somebody reach out to me. We probably have been in touch for, 3 months. Mm-hmm. He's needed a website, and somebody's designing it for him, but he needs the content. And I finally started to say, you know what, I've emailed him, I've called him, I haven't heard back from him. And just a week ago, he said, you know what, my life's kind of been in turmoil, but I still need you.
Yeah.
And so sometimes you never know what's going on in somebody's life
That's right.
Makes,
That's right. And again, it goes back to the feeling and the emotion because he was in a bad place that you didn't need to know the details of it. You could just sense from his style that he needed you, and it was real. He just really needed you, right?
Most of the time, my clients do.
Yeah.
If they don't really need me, then, and that's actually a good point because I did have somebody call me once, and it's important to know your boundaries and what you should say yes to and what you shouldn't or could or couldn't, because this gentleman wanted somebody with really specific experience in a certain field. And my theory was, well, if you tell me about what you're doing, I can gather the information and write about it. And he's like, no, I want somebody who's written about this specific thing. And I found myself trying to convince him that he should hire me. And finally, I heard my own voice going, why are you trying to twist his arm?
Good job.
He wants somebody with that specific experience. You don't have it. Plus, I didn't feel that real connection with him on the phone.
Right.
And I said to him, if I can find someone who has that specific experience for you, I will let you know.
Perfect.
But I had to walk away, and it felt really good to do that because I thought if I had taken it on, I might have struggled with it because he was so focused on what he wanted.
Well, and you discovered a new boundary that you maybe didn't know you had.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It's always good to know when to say no.
That's right. Well, let's talk about your best-selling book, Millionaire Marketing on a Shoestring Budget, How to Attract a Steady Stream of Happy Clients and Make More Money and Live Your Dream. Those are all the hot buttons. I'm ready to go.
You're ready to go?
Cut me a check. I'll read your book. Cut me a check. So, how did this book come about, and what was the motivation to create this?
How was it born?
Yeah, there you go.
The book started as a presentation back after 9/11. I had quite a few clients who called me and they said, "I'm stopping marketing. I'm not doing anything. I'm scared. I don't want to spend any money. I don't know what the world is coming to." And my advice to them back then was, no, this is when you need to be visible. This is when you need to stay out there and gain exposure, not to hide. And they were like, well, I don't have the money. I'm afraid to spend. So I started to guide them on cost-effective ways to gain exposure, to be visible in their business without breaking the bank. So that started back in 2001. And over the years, I've given that presentation. And then I was at a conference, and I mentioned the title to somebody, and they went, that sounds like a book.
Wow.
And at that conference, there happened to be a gentleman who had a publishing company, and we talked about it, and he said, Debra, I'd love to publish that book, but then I didn't do anything with it for a year. I went, okay, that sounds like a good idea, but I didn't do it.
Yeah.
About a year later, a colleague of mine who is also a speaker happened to be in Colorado. I had lived in Kauai for 10 years.
Okay.
I had helped him when I lived on Kauai get a couple of speaking engagements. Well, he was coming to Colorado because unbeknownst to me, he was, for lack of a better word, a publishing coach. He was helping people get books out of their head and onto paper and published. So he said to me, I didn't know you had an idea for a book. You helped me with those speaking engagements. Let me help you get that book out. And that's how the book came to be. I finally said, okay, this is something I thought about for a while. I hadn't done it. So once I committed to it, it was kind of like birthing a baby, because it took me about 9 months to pull the content together, because I also interviewed many of my colleagues to get information from them, and probably another 3 months of editing and book design and all that kind of stuff before I was actually holding a book in my hand.
What's fascinating about that to me, and I'm a firm believer there's no such thing as coincidences, but when you were at that one session and the publisher came up and talked to you and kind of planted the seed with you, you kind of took the seed, which is appropriate, but you didn't feel there was no urgency to jump on board with them. And then a year later, here comes somebody that you know out of the blue, publishes books. You helped him. It's time for him to help you. I mean, those stories are unbelievable if you keep your eyes open and your heart open to sometimes what's right in front of you.
What's in front of you. Yeah. And part of the reasoning, the timing was around that time is when I was starting to pursue more seriously a career as a professional speaker.
Okay.
And starting to, ask for people to invest in my speaking engagements instead of always offering it at no cost. And a book happens to be a great business card.
Doesn't it?
When you're pursuing that.
Absolutely.
So it wasn't really my goal to be, a New York Times bestseller and sell 10 million books. It was really to have a book that I could then speak to a meeting professional and say, let me send you a copy of my book, or have back of the room sales when I did speak and sell my book, those kinds of things. So luckily for me, it has been a good seller over time.
Yeah,
but
I'd
that
say
really,
so.
Wasn't my goal when I set out to do it.
And one of the other things, side benefit, if you will, and it may not be the right way to describe it, but you've been introduced or partnered up with some other fascinating writers like Joel Comm from the New York Times bestselling author of The AdSense Code, and you've been interviewed and quoted in several books. And so there's lots of revenue or lots of different streams of exposure, I guess I'd say, that is helping to keep you out there without much effort on your own, right?
Well, I like your thinking. I don't know if I would say without much effort.
Well, no, there's a lot of effort on your side of the table. I'm just speaking of the other folks.
Making connections with, I have friends who say I'm the glue that holds them together, because connections are really important to me. And so going to business events or conferences, that's where I've connected with people. Well, that's where I met Joel Comm, and several of the people who I interviewed in my book were people I've met and gratefully have stayed friends with over the years.
Nice.
Just by meeting at an event. So you never know, how those relationships are going to form and where they're going to take you.
Absolutely. And when you go to the website Millionaire Marketing on a Shoestring Budget.com, if you scroll down, there's a couple testimonials there, but there's also, as you read the chapters of this book, you will uncover, and there's some really quick, easy bullet points to get people's attention and tell you what page they're on, like how to obtain amazing free publicity on page 101, the bomb for bringing in clients and cash fast, page 77. I mean, it really gives you a quick look at, all right, I got 4 or 5 of those. I need to invest in that book. Well,
I have to confess. First, thank you, David. You're a great person for publicity, for the commercial here. But I have to confess that style that you're seeing on that page, I learned that from my mentor. I was very fortunate to have met many, many years ago, before I ever started my business, a gentleman by the name of Eugene Schwartz. He was very well known in the direct response world as one of the leading copywriters. And he wrote a book called Breakthrough Advertising, and many people consider that like the Bible in the direct response industry. But he had his own business where he sold self-help books. And when I first met him, he brought me on to start writing content for some of the books that he promoted. Wow. He wasn't the author of the books. He bought the rights and promoted them, and He taught me about going through a book, reading it from cover to cover, highlighting benefits, and then writing in that style where you share that it's kind of a teaser. You share what the benefit is and say, to get this information, you got to turn to page 52. Well, how do I get to page 52? Well, you have to buy the book.
Yeah. So simple, yet so right there easy. I mean, it's just like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
All right. I got it. Page 217. I'm buying the book. All right.
Well, and for those who are listening, since you gave me such a sweet commercial, when you order the book from that website in particular, you get an autographed copy of the book, and it comes with a gold shoestring.
Ooh.
If you order the book on Amazon, it doesn't come autographed, and it doesn't have the gold shoestring. So that's
come on now. I mean, why wouldn't you do that, you know? Millionaire Marketing on a Shoestring Budget, the book, and you can order it right there on the website and get an autographed book and a gold shoestring? Seriously?
Yes.
Right. Page 101 plus the shoestring. What else do you need? So you're a member of the National Speakers Bureau, and so you've been working hard to grow that part of your business. Is that coming along? You got some speaking engagements coming up?
So I'm just a brief correction. It's the National Speakers Association.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
Different than a bureau. And so there's the national group, which is the National Speakers Association, and locally there's a Colorado chapter that meets once a month. I'm actually going to be speaking at the Colorado chapter on May 10th. It's just a short presentation that I'm doing right before we have our main speaker. And that topic is a new one for me that I'm putting together called Dance to Success Even If You Have Two Left Feet.
Oh, my gosh.
That's because I love dancing, and this was one of those opportunities where I thought, should I do this? I don't know. It feels kind of risky, and I submitted my idea, and it was selected. So that's where I'll be speaking on the 10th. I'm doing a LinkedIn workshop for those who are tuning in. If you're in Boulder, Colorado, the Boulder Small Business Development Center is hosting a 3-hour workshop that I'm presenting on LinkedIn. So if you're confused about LinkedIn and how to make it work for you, that's happening on May 8th.
Very cool. And how do they find these events that you're going to speak at? Where's an easy way to go? Oh, I want to go to that one.
Oh, well, that's a good question because I don't have them posted on my website. I usually promote them on social media or the venue promotes them. I can certainly send you the links if you're interested. But the Boulder SBDC has a website, and under workshops, you'll see the LinkedIn workshop.
Oh, perfect.
The National Speakers Association of Colorado also has a website. And
you're like everywhere, Amazon.com, Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, Pinterest, Twitter, YouTube. And my sense is...
I will have to admit,
right?
I am in a lot of places, but the ones that I use the most, and I actually write about this in my book because so many people say, oh my God, social media is just overwhelming. I can't do all these things.
Right.
And you really don't have to. I jump on many of them because I want to explore them. But I'm mostly on Facebook and Instagram and LinkedIn, and probably the next would be Twitter. Pinterest, I go on every now and then. YouTube, I haven't done any videos in a while, and I sort of cower when I say that because videos are important. But you can only do so much.
Well, at the end of the day, that's right. At the end of the day, you want to focus, I think, you want to focus on 2 or 3 that you can do just really, really well.
Well, what I tell people is focused on 2 things. One, what do you like doing? You know, I've come across people that say, I hate Facebook. I'm like, okay, then don't do it.
Yeah.
But the other point is, where's your audience hanging out? For a lot of people that are business to business, their audience is on LinkedIn. So that's where they focus their energy. I have a colleague, bless his heart, he's grown a huge YouTube following because he decided that's where his audience was and that's where his focus was. So pick the ones that you think you'll enjoy doing, where you think your audience is, and yes, focus on 1 or 2.
Love it. Love it. And if you go to the Right Direction, again, website, WRITE, Right Direction website, you'll see some tabs there about her speaking, some testimonials, portfolio, a blog, all kinds of ways to learn about Debra and what she does, how she does it, and it's just. And I love the rainbow in your logo. It's like Debra is the pot of gold at the end of the rainbow, right?
Oh, well, nobody's ever put it that way, but thank you.
Yeah,
there is a story that goes with that too.
Well, tell me.
So I told you I lived on the island of Kauai for 10 years.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the land of rainbows and waterfalls. And when I was taking photos for my book cover, we looked up pictures. My photographer said, well, let's go online and look up pictures for Millionaire marketing.
Okay.
And we found pictures with people with their hands in their air and money falling down. So she said, well, let's take a picture of you with your hands up in the air. Well, that night, unbeknownst to me, she was just playing with Photoshop, I think it was, and she put a rainbow over my head instead of money falling down. And she posted it on Facebook, and people exploded over it. They're like, oh, my God, that's so you. So I began to use that in my email signatures and on my copywriting website. It's not on my speaking website, but... I love it. Some people have said, I'm sorry, what was that?
Well, I was just going to say, I love it because it just seems so honest. It's like, the rainbow tells something to a lot of different people. Again, emotions, feelings. The way you have your hands up in the air, your smile, real confident, joyful. It really sells you really well. I'm fascinated by that. So hats off to your photographer. That's brilliant.
Yes, she gets a lot of credit for that one because I have people say to me, well, sometimes I've gone to a couple of meetings and people have said to other people, would you point Debra out to me when she comes? Because I don't think I would recognize her without the rainbow over her head.
That's awesome. So you're gonna invest in one of those styrofoam rainbow hats?
No, I haven't.
Good answer. Good answer. Folks, a couple of ways to reach out and learn more about Debra as a copywriter, and that is therightdirection.com, marketing and writing with heart, not hype. And she's a best-selling author of Millionaire Marketing on a Shoestring Budget. And if you buy that book on her website, you get the autographed book plus the gold shoestring for a bookmark or whatever you want. But congratulations. You're so blessed on everything that you're doing and continued success on the speaking tour. And it's just been a real treat to talk to you today. Thanks, Debra.
Well, thank you, David. You've been delightful to chat with, and thank you for all the plugs. And my various website is rightdirection.com. There's no the in the URL. So
Perfect.
For those of you who want to check it out, it's just rightdirection.com.
Great.
But
well,
thank you for taking the time to chat with me today. It's been a joy.
Listen to your 20-minute podcast with David Brower on the go. Downloads are available on YouTube, Twitter, Facebook, iTunes, iHeartRadio, Spotify, any podcast app, and on our website at davidbrowervo.com/your20-minute podcast. Until next time, thank you for listening.